Hi friends, I know I just went live a moment ago, but I just came across this beautiful jelly and I just had to show you. I'm out at the Fox Island Bridge and just in, maybe about a foot of water or so, and this beautiful jelly is here swimming and I just had to capture it. It is exquisite. You can see the feeding tentacles are the skinny ones along the edges of the bell. And they have these muscles that flex to kind of give them that pulsing swimming behavior. And then there are kind of the fluffy inside tentacles. Those are the mesenteries for digestion. And they're just gorgeous. We were just live on TikTok a moment ago, so I'm hopeful that a lot of people will pop over here and give us a like on our Facebook page as well. We just hit 300,000 followers on TikTok, and oh man, would I love it if we had that many people on our Facebook page. If you want to post in the comments where you're watching from, that is fun information for us to know how far our reach is. But I am just mesmerized by this beautiful animal. This is in the Cnidarian family or phylum, which means nettle-like animals, and those stinging cells definitely feel nettle-like. This is our stingiest jelly here in the Pacific Northwest. It's not one that's very deadly though to most people unless you had maybe a really weird allergic reaction to it. Most people feel it and it's irritating like touching nettles, which is what Cnidarian means in Greek, nettle-like. So we're in about a foot of water and you can see the jelly's not really, I haven't moved. My boots have stayed in this spot for the past like 10 minutes or so. And so we're not seeing a ton of traveling with this animal. They can't really fight a current, and our tide has just changed and is just beginning to come in now. And so this animal is just gonna get pushed wherever the water flows with it. The ultimate go with the flow animal. We have a few other species of jellyfish that get to be a nice, large, noticeable size here in the Salish Sea. The other one that's common to see is called the egg yolk jelly, and it really does look like a fried egg. It's got a clear bell with kind of yellow mesenteries in the center, and so it gets to be about the size of a good size omelet. So that's an easy one to recognize. We also get moon jellies here. Moon jellies have kind of 4 horseshoes on a kind of clear or white bell. And then water jellies, which are much smaller and are actually a type of hydroid, I think. They get to be about this big. This is definitely the largest that we have around here. The biggest I've seen is 7.5 feet across the bell. That was washed up at Penrose Point State Park, right across the big peninsula that sticks out during low tide. And what was most interesting about that jelly was we noticed it because there was a golden retriever walking on the beach that stepped on some of these long tentacles. And on an animal that long, those tentacles can be over 100 feet long. And so the dog stopped and started itching and biting at its paws before we even saw the jellyfish on the beach. And then once we realized what we were dealing with, we got the dog out of there and made sure that nobody accidentally touched it. Although it had washed up and was dead and or dying, the tentacles can continue to sting long after the animal is dead. It's because they don't have a central nervous system, they don't have a brain, and so things without brains don't know when they're dead. So it was a bit of like a zombie jelly. Being this close to shore, this one is in danger of running into things like the rocks or the pilings, and they're so delicate that they may not survive that encounter. So if they, hit something hard, they often don't recover from that. So getting washed up is definitely not a good thing for this jelly. They do have a really interesting life cycle though, and jellies are in no way endangered. In fact, I'm a little worried that jellies are gonna take over the world because their polyp stage, which is like an anemone, the top part breaks off and forms this medusa. And then the polyp can continue to make more jellies. And so each individual can continue to keep making more and more and more jellies. This stage, when it gets mature, will release eggs and sperm that then combined to make that next polyp phase. And so this one can make hundreds and hundreds of babies. The one that it originated from can continue to make more and more. So jellies are one of those things that just have the potential to really overwhelm ecosystems if things get out of balance. Around here, there's not too much that eats jellies other than other jellies. They don't really tell the difference between plankton that gets caught in their tentacles and another jelly. And this species definitely eats things like moon jellies. Because they're all drifters, they can't really fight a current. You can see this one's just haphazardly meandering around me. They oftentimes will end up in the same place. And so where you get the currents that are kind of blowing them all into one little section, then we have the jellies eating one another. Just whoever's got the strongest tentacles is going to win that battle. So cool to see. All right, friends. Well, I need to get going because the tide is coming in. It's going to go over my boots here in another minute. I might just push this jelly into a little bit deeper water so that it doesn't end up stranded up high on the rocks, because that would just be a shame after so many people have been able to see it and appreciate it. If it were to die right now, that would be super, super sad. So I'm going to use both my hands for this so that I don't get stung. I'm going to touch the top of the jelly and maybe probably use my boots a little bit to get this animal into a little bit deeper water so that it doesn't get stranded. But thanks for tuning in with us. I hope you appreciate this amazing animal. If you love this type of education, we are a nonprofit and we appreciate your donations. You can make those right through Facebook or through our PayPal right on the Harbor Wild Watch website, harborwildwatch.org. Thanks so much for tuning in and saying where you're from and watching this beautiful animal with me.